This is Dr. Peggy Semingson, Associate Professor of Curriculum and Instruction at the University of Texas at Arlington. This podcast series shares success tips from faculty on academic productivity. Views shared by faculty are their own. We are talking to Dr. Doug Klahr, Associate Professor in the School of Architecture. What are your best tips for staying productive in writing and publishing?
Well, I guess my best tips are that I'm always looking out for future conferences and future publishing opportunities. That means getting yourself on as many listservs as possible from the very start. And I did this as a grad student. And I'm actually an architectural historian, so I'm on any art or architectural historian's listserv around the world. And I'm always looking to see what's coming up. And I get lots of CFPs, colossal papers, that I look at, and 99% of them are stuff that I really just can't do, but it's always that 1% that I'll snag it, I'll grab it, I'll sit down, I'll think of a really good angle to make my paper proposal shine through the rest, hopefully, get selected. And the result of this is that every year I usually wind up going to one major international conference. And I stress major because I'm, sort of a senior scholar now, and I need to have conferences that have oomph to them. And I've done this even since I was a graduate student, so I would avoid a lot of symposia. I'd be very wary of pseudo conferences that are not academically qualified and pristine in their academic rigor. Be very careful of that. And so my CV, if you look at it online, you'll see I usually have one major international conference a year, which is good for my profession. Now, your field may require more. In terms of publishing, a lot of those conference papers wind up as book chapters or articles. And I was told this years ago by someone very high in the administration here as I was going for tenure. He said, we look at the trajectory of what happens. In other words, if we're going to spend money sending you to a conference, we just don't want that to be a conference paper listed on your CV. We want it to be turned into some sort of published item. And obviously a peer-reviewed journal is better than just a conference paper, and a book chapter, at least in my field, is better than a peer-reviewed journal article. So I'm always ranking these things, and for instance, I now have 2 book chapters in the editorial process and 1 article going up for a journal. And that's pretty much how I keep myself publishing and writing. I have not yet published a book. It doesn't really bother me, to be quite frank, because academic publishing is changing so much, and if my work is represented in the top journals around the world, that seems to be good enough for the administration right now, and it's good enough for me. So those are my tips, basically.
Okay, great. Thank you. What are your habits and process as an academic writer?
Well, the first thing I have to notice is that I'm extremely organized. Everything gets filed. My desk at home is cleaned off each night before I go to bed. Same with my desk in my office. That's just the way I've always worked. So when I'm collecting research, I do a lot of scanning of books, do a lot of Xeroxing, and every single book chapter article gets put into loose leaf binder. It's cross-indexed with other loose leaf binders in that research topic, so I can look back and I can find articles instantly. Then what I do is, as I'm working toward a research project, I start laying out tables in Microsoft Word. And I pick up the major themes that I'm researching, and I will list each publication or source that I've referred to or consulted is listed. The full bibliographic entry is noted in a table, and then it gets a separate little table of its own. And I note exactly the pages on which I've highlighted certain things that I may want to focus on in the future. And then I color coordinate these. I color code these actually, and I usually have about 5 or 6 different colors, and there are dots that go on the left margin of these massive tables that I do. So if I'm working with 5 themes, say if I'm writing about Nazi Germany and there are 5 different themes I'm working with, I can instantly go down these 20 or 30 pages of research that are all in table form, and I can see exactly, well, how many points am I making that with regard to theme number 1? And then where do the themes intersect? And then is there another theme that's popping up, maybe that I didn't really see before, but the tables, the visual tables, they are suddenly making me see, wait a minute, there's another angle to this, a deeper sub-theme that I can maybe pull out and make into a major theme. So I find organizing my research actually a lot of fun, believe it or not. I love working in table form. I find it very, very useful because I'm a very visual person. And that really has enabled my writing to come off beautifully in terms of efficiency. So for instance, the article that's under review right now, I spent maybe about 6 months doing the research for this. I had done research years before, and I did another 6 months of research for that. Everything was coordinated, so I was able to write an 8,000-word article in 3 weeks with footnotes and everything, and pass it on to the editors. So that's how I tend to organize. That's the process by which I organize my writing.
Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate your